and welcome to our content session today. My name is Lacey Schmidt. I am the owner of Yoga 6 Collegeville, Yoga 6 Exton, and Yoga 6 Conshohocken, and I'm so happy to have you tuning in. Whether you're watching today or whether you are listening, you are in for a treat. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about, and I welcome you today here with a very dear friend of mine. I welcome Todd Pollock, ultra runner, dear friend, coach, and endurance athlete.
Lacey.
Welcome to the show, Todd.
Thank you for having me.
Each guest comes here and sits in this seat because they've made an impact on my life. And you certainly have. You've heard me say it before, and you'll hear me say it again. In life, we collect the dots to connect the dots. Todd and I have crossed paths, and each time I've collected little pieces of information about him. And every single time, I have left your presence and you have lit me up. I've wanted to know more about you, I've wanted to talk more to you, and I've wanted to learn more about you. And once I put the dots together, I realized what an amazing human that Todd is, which is why I have invited him today to speak with us over the next hour. So welcome, Todd.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
So come to the dark side with us as we reveal our stories, as we uncover secret truths, and as we share our big goals, which I know I haven't shared out loud yet, for our upcoming athletic season. Todd, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about how we met?
How we met, of course, it was an endurance event. 24 hours, 24 hero WODs, meaning a hero WOD, CrossFit hero WOD every hour for 24 hours straight. Of course, that's where we met. And we were, the gym we went to was there and hanging out in the parking lot. And we just started talking, running. And I think that sparked your interest to my world.
Yeah, you didn't belong to the gym that I belonged to, but we had similar friends. And I remember like catching you and being like, who's that guy? Like I'm curious about him. And I heard you had done some really big races. And just so our listeners know, this 24-hour event, every hour on the hour, top of the hour, we went into the gym and we started a new WOD, which is the workout of the day. And then we had a little bit of downtime. So where most athletes would kind of sit down, eat a little something through the night hours, would go to sleep, Todd and I would sit and talk throughout those night hours. And we're like, well, we're not going to go to sleep. We're training, right? And this is like our training for our endurance events that were coming up. So we had a lot of hours to share. And then I think a whole year went by, but we had a second year of that. And then we started trail running, and I found out you were a coach. And
like you said, connect the dots.
Yeah, we were collecting all of them. So, Todd, obviously you don't just run every day. We just talked a little bit about, CrossFit. Tell us what else you do to stay so fit.
Yoga. Definitely yoga. And I just don't say it. I mean that seriously. And I was even thinking about it this morning during class too. Again, a lot of people think yoga, it's just kind of stretching and holding stuff. But again, I know we're going to talk about this later, especially with your classes. It's training for heat, which was huge for me. And I know we're going to get into that, but that was a key element of my success for a race last year was heat. But it is mobility and it's strength. And we can talk about strength. And when I coach, it's just not about running. You have to be strong. You have to be mobile. And yoga. So yoga is one way.
Yeah, so Todd comes to every 6 a.m. We have, if you're listening and you're one of our 6 a.m. members at Yoga 6 in Collegeville, I've been teaching that class for over 4 years, and we have our own family at 6 o'clock in the morning. This morning was waitlisted.
I know. Some of my friends
we had some friends that didn't get into class this morning, but our Sculpt and Flow specific class is great for endurance athletes. It's great for everyday athletes or everyday people. But it's definitely something that has made us stronger. And you mentioned as a coach, it's something that you recommend. So weight training.
Weight training.
And Todd, I know you. I know you're a very modest man, but I want you to share your race resume with us, and it's intense, and I want you to let us know some of these great things that you have done.
Started not the usual way, but I think it is the usual way, 5K road races around 2007. And I still remember the first one, just hooked. I remember crossing the finish line, thinking I was on top of the world. And not a course, but I think for a lot of runners, it's like, okay, I did a 5K. They can do a 10K. Still stuck with road. Started with the 10Ks. And of course, the mind goes to the half marathon. And there was a good period of time doing a lot of half marathons, which led to full marathons. And it must have been like 4 years. Like the Philly Marathon was it for me. Just running the Philly Marathon, all about the Philly Marathon. Loved it, did it year after year. And then for me, that big moment was my first trail race, Blues Cruise in Reading.
Oh, I love that race.
Blues Cruise was amazing. And I still remember being so nervous going into it, this trail thing, and I don't know if I can do it. Had a blast. First of all, I remember the people. Let's talk about the food, which I know we'll talk about later.
That was my first 50K as
was
well.
Was it really?
Blues Cruise, yeah.
No way. Yeah. It was amazing, right? It was amazing. I just remember having a phenomenal time, and the thing that just really spun it for me was the next morning. I woke up, and I wasn't nearly as sore as the road marathons. And I still remember that morning going, holy cow, that I could run 30 miles and not be this sore. And it wasn't like I retired from the road, but I'm like, I think I'm going to keep doing this trail. Yeah. And then ironically, I still can't believe I did this on my resume. Not soon after, we have to remember, this is the early days of Facebook. This was 2011. Somehow I found this group of friends who almost every single one of them I'm still friends with today. We grouped together to do rim to rim to rim, which is the Grand Canyon, starting on one side of the Grand Canyon, going from that rim to the other rim and back. Running. And now looking back now, like to me, I was so naive. Like, yeah, sure, we'll do that.
Yeah.
That was definitely high on my resume, on my running list, because I did it on my 43rd birthday. I didn't tell anybody it was my birthday. It was 43 miles that day. It was one of the most epic experiences. Again, I have very many favorite experiences running. That was definitely one of them because it wasn't a race. I called it an adventure. I did it with friends. Seeing the Grand Canyon, not just from the rim, but being in the depths of it was absolutely amazing. Then the following year, I did my first 100-mile race, which I know we'll talk more about too. And again, that was just an amazing experience. Could not get by without my friends. And I thought I was done. I thought, okay, done the hundreds. I don't need to do another 100. I like checking boxes and kind of moving on, and kind of did the 50Ks. And then last year, let me back up. A couple years, not last year, actually 3 years ago, I went out to Arizona to help a friend run a 250-mile race.
I remember this.
Cocodona 250.
Yes.
And to help pace, crew, and all that. I got there. That whole experience changed me. Like, and I'll cut to the chase. Like, it was the entire week experience was amazing. But the finish line, being at the finish line of a 250-mile desert race, which took some people 5 days to go across, I saw people young, old, shapes, sizes, everybody like crossing the finish line. And it was like, wait, I can do this. And that just kind of spurred the next chapter, which was last year. I did my farthest race, which was Sedona Canyons, which was half the Cocodona race of 125 miles. Was the one I did last year, and yeah.
Todd, that's very impressive. Thank you for sharing.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It was fun. It, definitely changed me. I'm not done, as you know. I'm not sure if we're going to talk about that next, but.
Yeah. I love it.
What about you?
All right, my race resume, a little bit different than yours, Todd. So I started off with a half marathon. I started off in college with a half marathon.
Okay.
A roommate of mine, she's like, I'm running the half marathon in Allentown. And I grew up in Allentown. So I was like, oh, cool. I'll do that with you. And ran it. And just like you, like, this was so fun. Yeah. I want to push harder. I want to push further. How much more can I go? You know, I think we, as endurance athletes, and those of you who are listening, we're going to have a lot of our endurance athletes friends, you know, watching this, listening to this, and you have that itch, right? So that turned into a marathon, and then I went down the marathon road for a while, and marathons are fantastic, but I just wanted more, right? It did really beat up my body, that sole marathon running experience. And I was watching the Ironman on TV, watching triathlon and following triathletes and thinking like, I love that. Like, I wonder if I could do that. But I thought, no, there's no way I could do that, right? Because we have these limiting beliefs in our head, which we'll certainly talk about later. And I found a triathlon, much like you. I didn't tell anyone. And And I signed up and I did it. And it wasn't even a sprint triathlon. Like, it was already an Olympic triathlon. So I signed up for this Olympic triathlon. I was at the start line. I was getting body marked back in the days where they body marked you. So they would write your age on your calf. And I was young. And the guy that was marking my calf, he said to me, Todd, he squeezed my calf muscle. And he goes, these calves aren't going to get you up the hills today. And I held it together until I didn't. And then I went into the bathroom and it was at a state park and I just like bawled my eyes out. And there was this woman and she looks at me and she's like, oh, honey, are you nervous? And I was like, I mean, yeah. And this guy just told me that I wasn't going to be able to get up the hills today. And I've never done this and I'm not a good biker. And, I barely know what I'm doing. And so my first triathlon was a hot mess. I got in the water. It was a quarry swim. So it was massive and cold. And I forgot to look up. I didn't know how to sight. So I started swimming and I was just hanging on for dear life and trying not to die. And I looked up and the whole crowd was that way and I was going this way. Dead last out of the water. I don't know how I even survived the bike ride. Dead last out of the bike and I started running and I was like, okay, this is my jam. Like, I like running, Yeah. So anyway, I finished that race by the skin of my teeth and I wanted more.
Oh my God. After that, you wanted more.
I wanted more. And then I signed up for my first half Ironman. And a dear friend of mine like sponsored my race and he bought me a bike and he cheered me on the whole time. And I did a half Ironman. And then I was like, all right, if I did a half Ironman, I'm going to do a full Ironman. And then I did a full Ironman. And then I did more and more and more. I ended up completing several halves, but I usually had used those half Ironmans as training for fulls. So I did a handful of full Ironmans and then I read about Kona, which is the World Championship, and I decided I want to go to Kona. And there's two ways to get there. One is to be really, really good and really fast, which I wasn't and I never would be. And two was to legacy. And at the time, they had a legacy program. If you did 13 Ironmans, full Ironmans owned by Ironman brand, you could legacy to Kona. So that was my goal. So I did 13 Ironmans, and then I had a qualifying race, and then I had to do another race. And so anyway, Kona in Hawaii World Championship was best day of my life. I did my 15th Ironman there, and then I thought I was finished, but I wasn't. I came home and I raced again in Lake Placid, and then I just this past year raced my 17th Ironman. So 17 Ironmans later, I decided I'm going to take a little pause from Ironman, and I throughout that started to sprinkle in, as you had said, some trail runs. We did Blues Cruise unknowingly, maybe even the same year. And then I started to trail run and I did a trail race every year on my birthday. So I would do 35 years, 35 miles. Now I'm 40, so just did 40 miles on my 40th birthday. And then I have two 55-milers under my belt. So that's kind of been my biggest trail race right now. And did a couple 12-hour races. And so that's been my thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And talking about, I know pivoting is sort of our next topic. And I started to talk a little bit about that pivot. Pausing on the Ironman was a decision that we had talked long and hard about. And as my coach, I know it's like, what's next? And what's next is some big goals, right? Some big trail goals. And I'm really looking forward to what's coming this year. So let's reveal that.
All right. First of all, I'm going to say I love the pause. I love that you didn't say you're done. You're pausing. I love that.
Thank you.
I really love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, what door are we going to open?
Let's get to the dark side.
Right.
What are we going to do?
Am I going first?
Well, here's the thing. When we say it out loud,
I know.
we can't take it back. Are you sure you want to say it?
Because I've only told like
I know
people.
I know. Todd, when you showed me your phone, the acceptance, I was like,
I know.
Okay, all right, we're saying it. We're saying it out loud.
We're saying it. We're putting it out to the universe.
Do you want to go first?
You want to?
You go first.
All right, I'll go first. So again, you see the theme going. We keep finding where's that boundaries, where's that boundaries. So there was a race. I want to start here mysteriously. There was a race. I saw a documentary about how they came up with this race. This race started, the first time was last year. And I caught the documentary, how they found the course and made it. And it was just the beauty of it and how they did it. And it just seemed right. And you and I talked about this, like why do certain races speak to us? And I think this documentary spoke to me. So the inaugural race was last year. I'm getting there to what it is. And I did have some friends run it. I followed it online incessantly all week, just watching it. And I was just enthralled by it, everything about it. And it just sat in the back of my mind. I'm like, oh my God, is this the next thing I'm going to do?
Did it keep you up at night?
It didn't keep me up at night, but it was on the front of my mind.
Was it the first thought when you woke up in the morning?
Kind of, because I don't know about you. Like, I think you're like me. You pick your A rate, you pick your challenge.
Yeah.
At least I do. I kind of pick one thing and I center my year around it. At least that's how I work. And it was like, is this going to be my A race? Again, I did the 125 last year in May. So I had half a year to recoup, recover, and rethink for this year. So that race last year occurred in the end of September. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. And so they announced the date then late in the year. And I am signed up to do the Mammoth 200.
200 miles.
200 miles. Yeah.
I'm so excited for you.
I'm excited and equally nervous.
And I'm there with you every step of the way. I'm not doing the 200, but you will have my energy. You will have my spirit. You will have my love. I will be cheering for you.
Appreciate it.
From the sidelines, for sure.
So this year, October 2nd to October 6th.
Saying that out loud, it's real now.
Yeah, it's, yeah, it is. It's scary, but.
Tell us the date one more time.
October 2nd, it starts. And then you have 125 hours to finish. So that's October 6th is the time you have to finish.
Excellent. Now, Todd, that's not your only race of the year. You say that that's your A race. So to our listeners, you are a coach. Tell us a little bit about how you would be planning for that. So we have some races planned, and I'll talk to you about my schedule, which will reveal some of those races that you have planned. But, how do you prep in terms of, will you sprinkle in some other things in there?
Yep. And I'm actually still working that right now. I did a 50K, and training did start, quote unquote, start, as much as I tell myself it didn't. I did a 50K last month, and I do need to figure out the rest of it. The one thing I definitely know I'm doing is I'm helping, again, a good friend in May at Cocodona 250. Again, one of my favorite races. I'm not running it, but I'll be running a lot of miles and just being sleep deprived over a week. Right. So just even stuff like that. But I do have some ideas. I'm definitely hopefully going to be helping you, which we'll talk about in a little bit, would be selfishly helping you, but also helping me with part of my training. Yeah. And one thing, and I know I'm coaching you, and I think it needs to be, just because I'm a coach, I hired my own coach. I'm not coaching myself through this. I believe, at least for me, I need that. So I'll be working with her to figure out the game plan, how I'm going to do 200 miles in a couple of days.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome. Your turn.
It's real now.
I know, it's real.
My turn.
Your turn.
All right. So let's talk A race first. So A race would be my biggest race of the year, which is going to be an attempt of my first 100-miler. And that's going to be this fall. So this September is going to be my first 100-mile run. And I say run because I think the word race, it makes you feel like, we're out there pumping our arms. And when Todd and I were talking and deciding what things to share, trail racing has its own flavor. Yep. When you're out trail racing, it's really getting from point A to B, and sometimes it is running, and sometimes it is a slow jog, and sometimes it's walking, right? Yep. Sometimes there's parts of it that turn into a scramble. Yep. So my A race is 100 miles this fall, and that will be in September. However, I'm doing a really fun race that I want to say is also my A race, and this race is the last week of July, and it's called the Last Man Standing. I've never done a race that's structured like this, but I think what I'm most excited about is Todd is going to be using this as his training, and it's going to be a really fun partner event that him and I are doing. Yep. Every hour on the hour, we are starting a 4.2-mile loop, and this is going to be for as many hours as we can withstand. Yep. If we don't make it through the 4.2 miles, we're out. If we miss the start of the hour, we're out. And we try and outrun everybody else that's running. Yeah. And so my goal is to be one of, if not the last woman standing. Todd, you're going to help me get to that point. And it could be 24 hours. It could be 30 hours. It could be, but we're going to set up camp and prepare ourselves to be out there and sleep deprived and pack our food and nutrition and see what happens. And then our other fun event is I will be living for 3, 4, or 5 days at a fairgrounds. And Todd's going to come down and do some overnight miles with me. And I will be running through the week and using that as training as well. So we've got some big things thrown in the mix. And I know as people are listening to this, you know, I like to always kind of remind our listeners, everybody has their thing, right? Like your thing might be running, your thing might be whatever your passion is. And everyone has their thing. And more importantly, it's like, what's your why, right? Like, so Todd, I'm going to ask you that. Like, these are some big goals. What is your why?
My why has changed. I was thinking about this. I knew you were going to ask this, but I was thinking about it. My why has definitely changed. In the beginning, my why was I was out of shape. I wasn't happy with how I felt, you know, and running was something I did when I was younger, and I wanted to get back to it. So great, it started it. My why now is once I got into the trail running world, I'll be honest, a lot of it is about seeing beautiful mountains, landscapes. I always try to make an A race. I love the West, whether it be Arizona, you know, Wyoming, California, whatever it might be. That's my why now too, just to experience different lands and stuff. And again, Mammoth with Glass Mountains is incredibly beautiful, what I've seen. I've always wanted to go to Grand Canyon, but I just didn't want to stand on the edge. So that worked out perfectly, seeing it like that. So my why, I mean, it's selfish. It's just, and you were saying, not calling it a race. I always like to call them adventures, you know, because I know it's a race. And like you said, it's a different flavor. But it's getting from point A to point B, taking it in, enjoying it all. And that's my why. What about you?
I love that, Todd. Yeah, it's the people you meet. Yeah. I think my best friends, my best acquaintances, the adventures that I have gone on, the lessons that I have learned, the deepest things that I know about myself, they've been discovered and shown to me through these adventures, through the running, through the, you know, triathlons. And I know in an Ironman, when you're on the bike for 112 miles, you go through the ups and the downs, just like when you're running a marathon and you're out there for 26.2 miles or you're on your feet for 200 miles and you learn so much about yourself. So my why is to put myself in these raw moments where you are relying solely on your rawest state, what you do when you've got nothing left to give.
You hit on it, you used the word, and I was going to say it. My why part of it too, it strips me raw. Like you're out there for, you know, potentially hours, days on end. Everything goes by the wayside and you're just left with you. Yeah. And it's, I love it. I actually, I love it. You said something too. I'm curious, like you said, you're out there on a bike and in Ironmans for a long time. I'm curious, once you do these trail runs this year and you're stripped down, is there going to be similar or different experiences? Like I'm anxious to see how that affects you.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We will see. And then the other thing is, you know, although you're out there by yourself, there are other people that you're with. So I always call them my trail angels. And, you know, you have been that to me, Todd. There have been races. There have been 50Ks. There have been my 12-hour overnight runs that I have not talked to anyone because that was the mood I was in. I just wanted to be solely alone. And then there were times where I talked for hours and hours, right? Sometimes to the same person. Sometimes it's that bouncing back and forth. My first overnight 12-hour, I ran with the same guy for at least 8 of those hours. Wow. And we were the same pace. And we just kept coming through to our drop bags at the same time. It was a loop. And at one point, you know, I needed a couple things that I didn't have, and he had them. And, you know, at the end of the day, we're all human, and we all help each other, and we're all good people. And you see that so much. That humanity comes out when you're all in that same thing. Yeah. And I think that's also my why, just to be out there and say, hey, we're all in this together. I have a friend who has a tattoo on his forearm, and it says, when there's nothing left to burn, you have to set yourself on fire. And I think of that a lot in those last miles or those middle miles, that messy middle where you are struggling to hang on and you have to just figure out how to set yourself on fire because you have nothing left. And so, I think my why is just that dark side. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think often when I'm out on a run and I'm at mile 7, 8, 9, 10, like, it's still relatively easy, you know? And it's like, to me, it doesn't crank on until I hit that wall. And then I'm like, okay, all right. Let the fun begin, you know? Yeah. So Todd, let's talk about that fun. Let's let that fun begin. But first, I think a lot of our listeners kind of can imagine what a 5K would look like, maybe a half marathon, a marathon. When you're out doing a 50-mile race, a 100-mile race, a 200-mile race, it's not the same kind of thing where there's rest stops and everything's kind of provided for you and there's people cheering the whole time. So talk to us about what it would look like to prepare for one of these races. What do you bring with you? What kind of pack are you wearing? What are you wearing? Tell us all the nitty gritty.
I'm going to go to the most recent memories of Sedona Canyon's 125. So there is some aid stations along the way with food, but to your point, what you wear is critical. And a lot of people think Arizona desert, it's hot all the time. Well, guess what? It gets pretty freaking cold at night.
Yes.
So there's stretches you basically have to layer and still cover. During the day, I had the big hat because obviously I'm bald, long sleeve shirt and stuff to protect from the sun. And then at night, you had to bundle up. So you had to bring clothes with you as well sometimes, or drop bags along the way as well. But gear is really critical. I went through, as you're training, and you and I are going to go through this, and I went through it last year. I tried different bags because you have to make sure you can get the stuff, you're comfortable to get the stuff. Does it hold? Does it fit good? Because vests fit differently.
You don't want to bounce.
No, exactly. Don't want to bounce. You don't want to chafe. So you just try different things. And I'm going through that now. My friend and I are talking like, what are we going to use for the 200? Because that's a completely different pack from the 125.
Talk to us about poles too. Sometimes you need trekking poles or different equipment.
Yeah, poles are critical. And I lost my poles at 125. That's a whole other story.
I know that one. Jackie told me the whole. Jackie, I know that whole story.
Yes, the poles. Poles are critical. Yeah, they were my poles from the Grand Canyon. They are a tool for most trail races, not all, but most trail races use them to keep you upright, keep you moving. I used them in the Grand Canyon. I used them for half the race, the Sedona 125. I will definitely be using them for Mammoth. There's a lot of steep climbs to keep you upright. So yeah, you're right. Poles are critical.
And that one section in Mammoth that we spoke about at the coffee shop last week, there's a section that you're probably going to hit overnight.
Yeah.
Is that one of the most technical sections?
I don't know. So that was actually Sedona Canyon's 125. There was a section I hit overnight that was the most technical, where you're literally rock scrambling going up on your
with a headlamp.
With a headlamp on your hands and knees. And I remember at one point I was with my friend and I thought we got to the top and we took a break and we turned around with a headlamp and we were only halfway. And we had to keep climbing up, like literally mountain climbing. Speaking of equipment, headlamps are critical.
And Todd, when I did the 12-hour overnight, I was speaking to this man that I ended up connecting with, and I remember now why we started talking initially. My batteries died in my headlamp. Total newbie mistake.
Yep.
I had extra batteries, but it doesn't help when your batteries are back in your drop bag and you're in the middle of the woods.
Yep.
And so I didn't have a headlamp.
Yeah.
And he had a spare because that's what you do when you're an experienced ultra runner.
Yeah.
And so he let me borrow his. Yeah. And that was amazing.
Yeah. Quick story about that. And you're right. Backups are key. And Sedona Canyons, my headlamp, I'm like, I got a backup, whatever. I guess when I put my lamp in my backpack, I accidentally turned it on.
So you blew through the batteries?
Blew to that, but I had a backup to the backup.
Of course you did.
Of course I did. Because it's critical.
I feel so safe with you.
Light.
Todd, I feel really good about this.
I have way more headlamps. But I was like, thank God I packed two headlamps. And I actually have a waist belt too that I use now. But huge, just the planning, the preparation for this stuff, our spreadsheets long, going over it constantly, listen to other people's podcasts, how they got through it, and just buying.
I wish I remembered the brand because I would give them a shout out right now. I want to say it's Purcell, but I don't think that's it. I just got the best new headlamp.
Oh, did you?
It is so light. It fits perfectly. It's amazing. My friend Megan had it, and I was at her house and was like, "Girl, I need this," and I just bought it. It's fantastic. You're gonna end up getting a backup to your backup to your backup once you see this.
Well, I will give a shout out to Ultra Spiral, the waist lamp. I want you to try it. It's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I'm in the market for one of those.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. And Ultimate Direction vests are my favorite. What kind of vest are you wearing these days?
So yeah, good question. I did go with that for a while. Salmon, I used, what did I use? The advanced, I can't remember the number. Okay. Salmon I used for that. But I think I'm going back to Ultra Spiral for 200. Yeah.
And Todd, are you changing your shoes at any drops? Okay, you are.
Yes, and let's do a quick story about that. It's Sedona Canyons. That was so I did bring 3 pair. Again, reading ahead, I knew I was going to cross water in the first 10 miles. I suggested at the 10-mile aid station, change shoes, which I did, and it was great. So I wore those shoes for basically the next 90-ish miles. And I thought at the 100-mile mark, I'll put on a pair of fresh shoes. Identical brand.
That's a treat.
Exactly. That's what I thought. Identical brand, identical model, identical size. Couldn't get my feet into them. My feet were so swollen from it, and my other ones expanded so much. So I just put the same shoes back on. But yes, a lot of people do. The professionals don't because they're so quick and they just kind of go through with it. But if your feet are getting wet or something's going on, you definitely do want to back up.
Okay. Yeah. Todd, I love snacks. I'm like the queen of snacks. No matter where I go, I always have snacks in my bag. What is your favorite fuel when you're out on the trail? I think some people think, oh, you don't eat a lot. Like we count our calories, we track things, we are very efficient. Yeah. A couple things happen when you're not eating. Of course, you bonk, and you will still be doing these things when you are eating as well. But talk to me about like your quick grab and go snack that you just want to make sure you have with you.
Yep. I'm right there with the snacks. I'm all about the snacks. So yeah, taking with, because there's different categories of snacks for me. My go-to lately is Nerd Clusters.
Nerd Clusters.
Nerd Clusters. Believe it or not, enough carbs in it, enough sugars in them. They taste good. Quick origin story.
Do they sweat though? Like, does the coloring come off of them when they? Okay.
No, haven't had it happen. And how I got introduced to them was Sedona's 125. My friend Randy. We were in the middle of the desert. We're running, and I see her eating something. I'm like, hey, what are you eating? It's like Nerd Clusters. You want to try? And I remember it was like a
really
moment. Oh yeah, I just was like, these are good.
So what does it for me is licorice, not long licorice, the ones that look like Monopoly houses, the little red, they have to be the red ones. Yep. And I'll put them in the front pouch and just pop them throughout them.
My other favorite, which I would have marketed years ago, sounds crazy, maple syrup. They have individual maple syrup.
Yes. Okay.
I love sweet. Hit you right, hit you fast.
Okay.
It's perfect, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And of course, we're consuming food throughout the day as well, right?
Just not snacks.
Throughout the day and throughout the night. And keep in mind, there are things that happen, right? We're talking about rock scrambling, and we're talking about, different weather conditions, and things are slippery. And I know throughout a trail race, I will take several falls, so we're also practicing that as we're training. And I don't know about you, but I know that my body has become a lot more limber through yoga. When I first started just running in general, Todd, or pretty much endurance running, I actually tore my plantar fascia. I had a lot of plantar fasciitis issues. And then during COVID, I did a run across Tennessee. Oh, yeah.
Did you do that too? I did that too during COVID. I didn't know that. There's another thing we did.
And so I thought, this is going to be great. I'm going to run across the state. It was a virtual run across the state of Tennessee. And I'm going to get across the state so fast. So I was like bolting across virtually the state of Tennessee, running nights, days, weekends. And I tore my plantar fascia. It was the worst pain I've ever felt, and I just kept running through it until I realized. So I spent 100 days that year not running. It was awful. Reason I share this is I started yoga as soon as as soon as COVID ended. I started yoga, and knock on wood, I haven't had injuries since. And so I do really feel like yoga has kept me very limber. Yoga has taught me how to fall. Yoga has taught me how to really recover. Talk to me about, your recovery and how you make sure your body stays fresh for these events.
Yep. One thing, and I talk about this to my athletes a lot, and I talk about this to myself as I forget, recovery actually starts before the race is over. I personally have this tendency and this sounds really weird and bad, and it's not coming from ego, but I remember the last 10 miles of a 120-mile race. I was like, I'm 10 miles away. I don't need to, I can, whatever. No, wrong. It's not only for those 10 miles, it's for recovering afterwards. Like just basically keep eating right through.
Yes.
Your body needs to recover.
Todd, I'm guilty of that as well.
Yeah. I'm
Thank
bad.
you for that reminder.
I'm getting better at it. But so, yeah, my point is recovery starts even during the race, the end of the race. And the recovery goes, I want to say it's simple or common sense. It's sleep and eating. Just listen to
you know
your
what
body.
I always tell myself? Eat before you're hungry, drink
Yeah.
before you're thirsty. You know, take care of your body, take care of yourself. Remind each other out on the trails.
Yeah.
How are you eating? How are you drinking? You know, share your salts, share things if people need them. That's what makes you a trail angel, right? Taking care of each other.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And Todd, when we're out on the trail together and through some of these longer races, and I really do intend to come out and support you in your race. I know you're going to help me throughout my race as well. There are times as a pacer, and we'll talk about what that word pacing means. There are times where, you know, you know me when we run together, you know, like, okay, Lacey wants to talk, or she's having a moment, and I don't even have to tell you when I'm having a moment. You're like, you just read my body language. How important is it to be able to, you know, read your athlete and give me some of the things that you know as running with me? Like tell me how you read those signs.
Excellent question. And I almost want to say I love pacing more than running my own races. I just enjoy helping people. But yeah, pacing, when people hear pacing, they think, oh, you're helping a person keep a certain minute. No, especially in the trail run, it's not about that. It is about reading somebody. And obviously, when you know someone well, like you know their tendencies without having to say anything, when to shut up, you know, when to help them, when to make sure they're eating. It's being there, it's bouncing things off of them without telling them what to do. Like, say if you're like, no, I'm going to keep going. I just want to take 5 minutes at this aid station. I might be like, why don't we sit a little bit longer and eat a little bit more? You know, it's reading. I think it's an intuition. And again, with that community, you become so well tight knit. The people I've paced, I've really known well. And like you said, you know when to shut up, you know when to talk, you know. Yeah.
And your goal isn't to get me to run faster.
No.
Your goal is to get me safely, contently to the finish line or to my next stop.
There is obviously a time domain that you need to hear them to, but safety is number one. You don't want to push somebody to the point where they can hurt themselves permanently or long term or something like that.
So let's talk about that in each of our races. When in your 200 miler would you be able to have somebody help you through some of those dark times, some of those late nights, some of those hours?
And I don't have it memorized yet. There is certain mile segments. Pacers can come in and be with you, but you bring up a really good point. A lot of time it is during the night. You really would like to have somebody during the night, whether you're scared of the dark or not. Just having somebody with you makes that time fly a whole lot quicker.
And, you know, we talk about how to push your body when things get hard, right?
Yeah.
But it's not just about your physical body. When I first started trail running, I remember getting to the first hill. It was in the Blues Cruise. And I got to the first hill. It was like mile 2, right? And I felt great. I'm running. And I'm like, why is everybody walking up this hill? And I'm like, oh, I guess we walk up hills and trail runs. Like, I don't know. And I realized, okay, we're out here for 30 miles today. Like, we're going to conserve our energy. We're going to walk up this hill, right? That idea of energy conservation and efficiency. And we walked up the first hill, and guess what? Like, I felt great. I wasn't sore the next day. I got to the finish line and still had a lot of energy left. So we talk about these physical things and what we do when it gets hard. What are some of the things you do when it gets hard? You're in the thick of it. Your mind is just, it's getting messy. It's getting dark.
Yeah. It's tough. I think it's, first of all, recognizing that it is getting tough, and you know, what do you do with it? Do you listen to the stories you're telling yourself that you're tired, you should stop, or whatnot? So I try to keep my mind busy. A couple of things I do. One of the things I did at the Grand Canyon was every mile I thought of somebody. I still remember the first mile I came up. At least I think I came up with this idea during the Grand Canyon run, thinking, you know what, I'm gonna think about my grandmother, you know, and just all the memories and things she says like for the next mile, and that got me through. And then Sedona Canyons. Last 10 miles were tough for me. And I remember at one point I was really getting wrapped up in my own head because I wasn't eating, but that's another story. And then I just said to myself, I literally said from miles on and 1 foot in front of the other, 1 foot in front of the other. And it helped. It blocked out everything. And I looked down and I kept going. So that worked for me.
So mantra.
Mantra, memories, something, being with somebody potentially, but it's maybe recognizing those fears and thoughts, but not giving into them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being aware.
Yep.
I think to myself a lot, Todd, I get to be here, right? Like this is my choice.
Yep.
There's nowhere else I'd really rather be. And when you said, you look around and it is an adventure, and I look at like the beauty, you know, how often do we have a chance to truly stop? And I think you and I do on a regular basis, right? Like we're people who do stop and we look up at the full moon, or we do stop and touch a tree and things like that. But, you know, when you're out there and you're hearing like we don't run with music when we're out here, you know, like you're able to listen to the stream that you're running next to for 10 miles potentially. And you're seeing the rocks and the formations and the moss growing. And it's just so, you're hyper focused because you have to be, or you're going to be tripping and falling. And so you're just, you're in the moment, and you're in the moment where you're not thinking about the racing thoughts that we have all day long when we're in society, right? And there is a bit of that, you know, you get to run away. You get to run away and be in the woods or be wherever you are running. And I love what you said about thinking about people each mile. I do that a lot when I'm racing triathlon. One of the things that always got me through triathlon as well, at the Ironman, they give you a bracelet. And the very first thing you do when you check into the Ironman Village is you pick up your packet, you pick up your race, you register, you check in essentially. And they put a bracelet on you, which is a really neat way to see when you're in town who's the athlete racing and who, because there's thousands of spectators as well, right? And so every Ironman that I've ever raced, I think of someone and I say, okay, who am I going to give this bracelet to? You know, at the end of the day, at the end of the weekend, I'll cut this bracelet off as sort of like my closing ceremony to myself. And I love to write. So I'll write someone a letter or a card or send it to them. And, you know, whether it's my sister or a friend or whoever it is, and kind of infuse like all of this goodness into that person, whether they're about to endure their own event or whatever it is. And so that dedication, I think, is really big, whether it's somebody going through something hard themselves or whether you just want to, you know, the purpose, right? The intention. And I think, again, something we do often in yoga, we dedicate our practice to someone, or we create an intention at the start of our class. And I think just being really thoughtful, really intentional about what we do makes it special.
Yeah, love it. Cool.
Yeah. So a couple more things, Todd. You're a coach.
Yep.
I'm sure people come to you a lot. Hey, I want to do this. I'm excited about, you know, trying something new on. First of all, I think a lot of what we're talking about sounds wild, right?
Yeah.
If I would have heard this years ago, I would have said, wow, I will never have a desire to do all of this, to run this far and whatnot. So let's bring it down to, like, you know, the listener, the average person that might be listening to this and says, you know, I want to get off the couch. I want to get started. Let's talk about where to start, because not everyone's going to be running 100 miles this year or 200 miles this year. What could you tell them?
Start small. Doesn't have to be big. So let's just pretend I want to do a 5K. Literally, if you never walked around the block at night, maybe the first night, you just literally walk around the block. Don't even run. Just get that habit of getting outside, triggering yourself, going, oh, it's 6 o'clock. I walked around the block last night. It wasn't bad. I'll walk around the block, and just literally go from there. One of the things, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I really think it helps. Obviously, consistency is key. So how do you remain consistent? A lot of times, again, it's, you know, right now it's winter months. It's cold. It's dark out. You don't want to go outside. So you have to have accountability. I am so fortunate to have so many different tribes. I have my yoga tribe. I have my trail tribe. Just having those people in your corner saying, hey, this weekend we're going to do this, or are you going to class Wednesday morning? I think find your tribe, or your tribe sometimes find you, whether or not you know it. That is consistent. Again, it can be a 5K. It can be starting a yoga practice. I think people sometimes get intimidated. They're afraid to walk into a class and they don't know, you know, what to do. But if you go with somebody, it's a lot easier, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. One of the things that I also say to people, Todd, is I have friends that say, like, oh my gosh, I want to do an Ironman. Like, where do I start? Right. There are a lot of really great programs online. Like, read about it, watch documentaries. Like, I often lay on the couch at night and I'm like, and I go down the rabbit hole of YouTube because I'm so motivated by people. Like, I'll put in like Last Man Standing and I'm like, oh, could I like outrun that woman? Like, I don't know, you know, and I just get so jazzed up about it. And I just like start thinking about it and visualizing.
Yeah.
And that tool of visualization is so powerful. So when I have friends or, you know, people that come to me and say, I want to do an Ironman. I want to do an Ironman one day.
Yep.
Or, hey, I'm signed up to do an Ironman in December and it's February. I say, you know what? Cool. What is more important today is the mental.
Yeah.
And for us, the 200, the 100, every morning waking up and spending that moment breathing and thinking, like visualizing the finish line, visualizing it's going to hurt, visualizing the pain, visualizing the struggle, visualizing how strong you are, telling yourself. It's that, like, again, the neuroplasticity and the training of the brain and the training of telling yourself, because as you said, it will be hard.
Yeah.
Train your brain and define your hard.
Yeah.
And know that you can do hard.
Yep.
You know, you can do hard
Definitely.
things. And so I think the positive self-talk, being goal-driven,
Yep.
consistency is key. As you said, find your tribe. Talk to me about comparison, because I think comparison is a killer.
I was going to say something else, but this ties right into comparison. Like you're saying, to kind of lead on, say, you know, go online, you know, find something, and you might be comparing yourself. Oh, so-and-so, you know, my best friend or whatever did a 5K, and this is the program they did. And you know, you kind of compare whether it be the training or the result of the race. Comparison, what is it saying? Comparison is the theft of
joy.
Joy, yeah. It's not only that, but I think you have to take it like this. They might inspire you, or you might think that and if it doesn't work for you, that's okay. Guess what? You learned that program they did or you found didn't work. Quick story with me. I remember my first marathon. I went online, found a program. I'm type A. I followed it.
Are you?
Very much so.
I didn't know that about you, Todd. How many headlamps do you have in that
Yeah,
bag?
I know, exactly. How many poles? How many vests? Excuse me. But yeah, I remember I failed my first marathon. I got injured. I was type A. I'm like, program says run 18 miles, you know, and I was just driving myself into the ground. And I was all upset with myself. And I found a tribe, and we talk about that story later. But my point is, it took me a while to recognize, like, failure's okay. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. Like, you might be doing great for years, 5K, 10Ks, and all of a sudden, in half marathon, you bonked at mile 10. Guess what? You learned. So I think that's it. Don't give up. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but
No, that absolutely does. Todd, I had a question. I'm going back because there was something about fueling, and when you just said DNFing, which means did not finish, and we talked about how important it is to eat, and we touched a little bit about like some of the funny things that we eat on the trail. When you don't eat enough, and you said bonking, what are some of the other risks that you're running, especially through some of those night hours?
Night ones of not eating?
Yeah.
It definitely, I think a lot of people know this, your brain power, your ability to think, your brain uses most of your calories. And if you're not fueling, you're not thinking correctly. And in all honesty, this doesn't mean to be scary, but if you're not thinking correctly and you go off course, you can endanger yourself, put yourself off course potentially, or you're, like you said, you're constantly focusing. If you're not fueling right, you're not able to see your rocks and step correctly, or even think, I haven't drank. I had a friend who, unfortunately, I remember she unfortunately DNF'd, and we got done. She pulled out her water pack back. She's like, Todd, look, I hardly drank because she didn't fuel her brain. You know, she wasn't thinking. She thought she was drinking. So there's a lot of, if you don't fuel, it's not like you physically can't move. You're making bad decisions, which is also impeding it too. So yeah, fueling. One quick free tip, not free, but everybody does it. And again, it helped me with Sedona Canyons 125. Set my watch every 40 minutes. My nutrition alarm went off, and I had at least 100 calories, whether I wanted to eat it or not.
Yeah.
I think you know this after a while of running, you're kind of like, do I have to eat again?
Your stomach's churning with it. And you can't, once you fall behind, you can't catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the bonk, to talk about the bonk, it's difficult to get out of the bonk. Yeah, it's bad.
And will you sleep at all during this race?
I think yes. The question is how much. The Sedona Canyons, I only end up doing a little over an hour of the 58 hours it took me. So yeah, I need to figure out that game plan. That's still new territory for me, these multi-days. So again, learning. I hope I don't fail, but I hope I learn when to sleep. I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. And, you know, you saying like failure is part of like the equation. I, knock on wood, have never DNF'd a race that I've ever started. You have not either. Yep. And we are human. and things happen, and there may be a day or a time where that happens. I think that we have a lot of really great things planned and on our calendar this year where we'll have tons of opportunities to make mistakes and to figure out the gear and figure out our nutrition, and running through the night at the state fair and going through our 24 plus hours of last man standing and trying to figure all of that out is going to give us so many opportunities. But there will be a day where we start a race and do not cross the finish line. And how, as an athlete, how do we deal with that? And how do, as an athlete, we come off of the highest of highs? We have a few more minutes left, and that's something that I really want to talk about. I know for me, coming off of any really great season, especially when I came off of my World Championship season in Kona, which was my not only a race, but like my race of a lifetime. And then this past year when I cut off my final bracelet for the Ironman and really kind of said out loud to people, like, I'm stepping away from this sport and I'm taking this pivot, which I'm super excited about. But it's a lifestyle for us. This is what we do. This is our livelihood. And I think that although I try not to allow it to define me, it is what brings me so much joy. And I'm, quite frankly, I am in this transitional period where there are days where I'm struggling with finding the new me, right? And so when you're coming off of these high races and you're coming home from running 200 miles, whether you finished or not finished, talk to me about like the integration back to this. We're not in the woods anymore, Todd. We're working now.
Wow, this could be a whole nother
I know,
hour.
this is a whole new podcast.
This is a really, it is the, I don't want to call it depression, post-run depression, but you're such a high. You're such, you're in your world. You're in your love. You're with your people. You're in the part of the world you want to be, and you're right. You got to get back to reality. It's tough mentally. I don't know. I don't want to use the word depressed, but it's just kind of like crap. It's tough, and I don't think. And even as a coach, I don't know if I do a good job of preparing some of my athletes for that. Because, you talk about the race, you talk about the finish, but that post, that's still part of the game. That's still part of life. So I think for me, I'm going to answer this. I find joy, honestly, and this is not exaggerating. Even like last weekend, I went out with my friends. 10-mile run, but we had a blast. Yeah. Like, it was fun. Yeah. Like, no, it wasn't Arizona, it wasn't whatever, but it was the people, like, so that's what gets me through those runs with the tribes to the big A. That helps a lot. Yeah.
And I really agree with you, especially during these dark winter days. I'm like searching, like whether it's a cup of coffee with a friend or like, it's Sunday night and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what's my one treat this week? Like who can I set up something fun with, Because it is, I'm craving sunshine. I'm craving warm weather where I can like run in a sports bra and shorts and sweat. Yeah. And I think that the yoga studio certainly helps with that, like knowing especially our Wednesday morning 6 a.m. tribe is there to just like pump each other up. It's kind of a midweek pick me up. It is hard. And just that concept of integration, I think, is a really real thing. It's not, we're not just coming off of a 5K on a Sunday. It's, we are training, we are working towards this for weeks, months, potentially years. I mean, this is something that we've both been leading up to for years. And Todd, your race coming up, it's not just, a race coming up, it's logistics. We talked a little bit about some of these logistics, but you are prepping, training, watching videos, learning the course, renting a car, flying out there, pacing, crewing, all these things. That's a big endeavor.
Oh, yeah.
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 And I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
So excited. I think one of the last things I want to talk about, you said find your tribe. And Todd, one of my great memories with you was the morning that we met at Spring Mountain. And I loved running up Spring Mountain with weighted vests and having a great time. But also it was drinking coffee with you afterwards and just like chilling out and talking and doing what we're doing now and being excited for each other. I think one of the best things about trail running in general and this sport and endurance athletes in general is bringing each other up. And it's not a competitive environment whatsoever. Like we are one foot in front of the other with each other, pushing each other to the finish line and being one another's cheerleaders. And so I really always appreciated that about you.
Yeah. No. Right. Yeah. Right back at you. And that is it. I can't imagine like you said, there are days I want to run alone, but most of the time it's being out there with those friends that inspire me. And it's wild. You're right. It's like I get to a point and I'm like, all right, there's no one else cooler, more inspirational I'm going to find. Boom, I meet somebody and they're just as awesome and, inspire me in a different way too. So
And have an awesome story. I love to hear everyone's story.
Right, exactly.
What's your why, right?
Exactly. Everyone does have a story. I know. That's I always keep thinking I want to start like a podcast because I feel there's so many stories to be told, out there because I hear so many awesome stories.
And so, Todd, when you're on the trail, your job is to continue to collect the dots so that you can connect the dots and come back and tell us these fascinating stories. We'll have to have a follow-up content session when you come back. And this is a really big year. I'm glad that we both had a chance to share our goals, to share our story, and to just really hopefully motivate some of our listeners. Again, I will never say like what we're doing is better or grander or, it is just different. It's just different from some other goals that you guys might be, chewing off. And I want to hopefully be an inspiration. And whether you're doing your first mile or whether you're doing your first 5K or some of you are going for a marathon or a 10K or whatever it is, you can do hard things and, trust the process, believe in yourself. Your body and your mind are going to play constant games with you, but know that you can do hard things.
Yep.
Todd, let's finish this podcast by telling the audience, you spoke about your why, but I know that there's a bigger meaning out of all of this for you. You're actually racing, running, competing, training, whatever it is that we're calling it that you're doing. You are taking on this adventure this fall for something even bigger than yourself. Talk to us about your charity.
So I did it last year for Sedona. I'm going to do it, not obviously, but I'm doing it with Mammoth 200. So I'm an ambassador for Bigger Than the Trail. Bigger Than the Trail is a 401c, a nonprofit that basically raises money for mental health services for people that can't afford it, simply put. But it ties in, it's mostly through trail runners, adventure experience. It could be anything, but it's about that community. And I ran a race, like I said, last month, and I saw this guy, he had the Bigger Than the Trail patch on the back, and I walked, I'm like, oh my God, are you ambassador too? He's like, yeah. We got to know each other. But anyway, so yes, great organization. Last year I set a goal of trying to raise $1,000. I raised $2,000. I just couldn't believe how generous people were. So this year, of course, I can't sit at $2,000. I want to try to get $4,000 for them because, again, this money goes to people that need mental health services and the worst way through therapy. I'm raising that money. I'm going to have a little link in my bio and people can start donating.
Todd, I love that. Thank you for doing this, not just for you, but for something that I am a massive fan of. I think that we all have been touched in some way by mental illness and people in our lives that we know that struggle. So to our listeners, those of you who are following us that have made it this far in our story, talking about our big and audacious and scary and amazing goals this year, please donate to Todd and this amazing foundation. Like he said, that link will be in our bio. And to all of those who are listening, Yoga 6 is going to be giving away a week of free classes to anyone who's never stepped foot in the door before. So whether you live closest to Collegeville, Exton, or Conshohocken, please come on in. Let them know that you heard this podcast. Crossing over to the dark side is your keyword on that one. Let them know that you heard from Todd and or Lacey, and you're coming in to check out your free week of classes. So we'll get you hooked up there. Todd, thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure.
Yes.
And we will link up after our season is over and tell all of the nitty-gritty stories.
Yes.
But please follow us for updates, follow us for pictures and training stories and all kinds of good stuff. Is there anything else that you wanted to share?
Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me be your coach.
To many more miles of smiles, Todd. Thank you all.